Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Fernandez, and today I will be discussing solitary versus grouped animals. So to start off, I would like to actually compare the pros and cons of groups and then the pros and cons of solitary animals. So to start off, we will be discussing the grouped animals. For me specifically, a type of animal that lives in groups are actually bottlenose dolphins. They live in groups called pods. And for me, they're very interesting because of their high intelligence. So, the very good pros of living in a group, and the reason why these animals live in a group, is because they're able to fend off predators more effectively in a group. So, as we know, bottlenose dolphins actually have a very intelligent and intricate way of communicating with each other through whistles and clicks under the water. So, for example, if two dolphins are in a pod together, they're able to warn off. They're able to warn each other if there's any predators nearby, or they're able to group together to fight off a large predator. That being said, they're able to spend more time feeding and less time looking around and gathering information because they know and they feel safe that they're in a large group where nothing will be able to go unnoticed. They cannot get snuck up on by a predator. So as soon as there's a predator, they're able to know because there's multiple eyes watching at one time. Another thing is that they locate food quicker. Obviously, there's more animals, they can spread out. Again, with the communication, they can signal where there's large groups of food. And a significant one is mating. So these dolphins live in pods, and that's how they are able to socialize on an advanced level. Mating is such an intricate form of socialization because reproduction is typically the ultimate goal for animals, so they do not go extinct. Now, along with these groups, it may seem like a good situation to live in a group, and obviously dolphins are very successful animals, but there are unfortunately cons. And some of the cons are that large herds or large packs of these animals are able to be easily spotted. So one of the dolphin's largest predators is the orca whale, also known as a killer whale. These orca whales have an incredible large size, and so when they see a pack of dolphins or a pod of dolphins, it is very easy to spot it within the water because dolphins often travel in large pods. And it is also very typical that if there is one dolphin, that there will be more nearby. So this is very tricky because although they have a higher chance of fending off the predator, they are also more likely to get spotted, as where a solitary animal can hide quickly, and they know that for a fact they will not get exposed by another animal in their group, right? So it's just them, and if they're good at hiding, they can be able to use that as an escape. Another thing is high competition for food. As I discussed before, dolphins are highly intelligent animals, and typically there is a social hierarchy, especially when it comes to mating and breeding. So typically the most fit dolphin will be the most well fed, and dolphins actually use violence to kind of show dominance. So this is very interesting because although they are in a group, they can actually compete against each other and become very territorial. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about the pros of solitary animals. So many people do not know that the platypus is actually a solitary animal. And you might be wondering, they look so cute and they literally have no defense mechanisms. How in the world are they solitary animals? Well, let me tell you, platypuses, unlike popular belief, are actually venomous animals. So every solitary animal kind of has adaptations that allow them to live on their own without being subjected to harm. So these animals are specifically adapted to live alone and be okay with it. So as we noted about the mating, although being in a group is amazing for mating, platypuses actually only mate once a year. So for them, being solitary is actually not that significant when it comes to mating, because they do not mate multiple times throughout the year. They only mate once. So they can sneak around. Platypuses are amazing swimmers, and they're typically the largest animals within their aquatic ecosystem. Outside of that, on the terrestrial ecosystem, there are larger mammals, but because they are the largest in the water or in their freshwater environments, it's actually very easy for them to find food, and they don't have to compete with other platypuses to find food. They also are not exposed to parasites and diseases. This is significant because when groups are together, it is very easy for them to pass pathogens from one to another, and this can lead to a lot of death, and that platypuses do not have to worry about that, which is amazing. However, like any animal, platypuses do have a natural predator, and for them, many of their natural predators are typically terrestrial animals. So luckily they live in the water, but they can be spotted by eagles or foxes, and if they are by themselves, it's very difficult for them to survive on their own. Because of their solitary situation, platypuses are also very, very low social animals. They do not interact with one another very much, and like I said, they only mate once a year, and once they do mate, the male platypus kind of just leaves. Like after the mating, the male platypus will leave the burrow and leave it all to the female, which is very interesting. Because that's not typically something that we see in mammals. We see that typically that both parents will help raise their mammal, and just interesting to know that the platypus will just leave. So they are very bad socially, and then also capturing prey, like I said, it's just one of them. So it's not like there's multiple platypuses ganging up on larger prey. They're unable to do that. They typically stick to small invertebrate at the bottom of their ecosystem or at the bottom of the water. That's how they feed. So now that we discussed a little bit about groups and solitary animals, I hope that this has clarified some situations, and I also hope that these examples provided insight that will be able to be retained within your memory. Thank you for listening.